Well, it's 5:30 in the morning and we're going to be going for a big drive today out to the Northwest Highlands. So for that, I'm charging my car up to 100%. I did most of the charging yesterday with the free sunshine, but we're topping it off this morning, bringing the charge up from 97% to 100%. And as you can see, we're very nearly there. So we've got a scheduled departure set, and the Tesla will also be nice and warm by the time we get into the car. So let's get into the car and I'll talk some more there. Right, so here I am in my Tesla. I am now fully charged. My car is nicely warmed up and I'm ready to go. So one of the things I didn't show you was that on Google Maps you can choose a location and you can send it to your Tesla. So in this case I chose the Benet car park in Torridon and I sent that. I thought that was going to be a bit more of a hassle to dial in on the screen, so I decided to do it on my phone. So let's accept that navigation and let's see what comes up. So it is calculating 53% charge once we get there. So let's be on our way. So we're going to Glen Torridon, as I mentioned before. It's 133 miles there, and I'm going to be going for a nice walk. Now, one of the reasons you might be interested in this video is you might be a hill walker yourself. I was looking up statistics and I found a statistic on Sport England, and they said that over 3 million people do regular hill or mountain walking or bouldering or rock climbing, and that's just England. So that's just over 7% of the population going out many weekends each year to the hills. And the thing about driving an electric car when you do that is that A, you're driving a long way, and B, there's no charger at your destination. So I think what I'm doing here is particularly relevant to that group of people. So out here it's a lovely morning. It's the sun's rising on the eastern horizon, and but it's still very dark, and we should be getting at our destination probably just before 9 o'clock. So that's your traditional starting time for any large walk. Okay, so we are now coming up to the Keswick Bridge in Inverness. So we have got 73% of charge left, and we have got 54 miles of driving to do, and we have done about 80 miles of driving already. We're still on track to get to our destination with about 53% charge on the battery. So that's a good thing, and I'm hoping we'll have a bit more charge than that, because applying the maths, that would suggest we only have 6% charge getting back to my house in the evening time. So we'll see how that goes. Some interesting behaviours. I mentioned in my previous video that the cameras on this car will actually note the speed limit. There is one bug with it though. It will notice the speed limit on roads off to the side that you're not driving on, especially around roundabouts. So if it picks up a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit for a side road when you're going around a roundabout, it will show that on the indication. And if you just happen to be on a 60-mile-an-hour road, then it thinks you're doing 20 mile an hour. You're supposed to be doing 20 mile an hour, which is a bit of a bug, really. It kind of shows that there isn't too much context to which these speed limit signs are applied that it sees. So we're now coming up to Achnasheen, and we have got 58% charge. So ever since Garth, we've been climbing quite steadily. my expectation is that when we go across from Achnasheen, we get to the high point on the road, which is about 250 metres, and then we've got quite a steep drop down into Kinlochhuey, and I'm hoping that we actually regain some of the charge into the battery, because it is quite a steep drop, and this is where regenerative braking comes into play and becomes very useful indeed. So the predicted range, the predicted battery life was 53%. We've got 15 miles to go, so it's a good question as to whether we're going to get 53%. If we do, then that is very encouraging indeed. So we're now just 4 miles away from Benay car park. As I suspected, we got to the top of the pass between Achnasheen and Kinlochhuey with 54% charge, and as we went down the hill, I gained 1% extra charge, which was very welcome. We've now got 54% charge, and we will probably be bang on 53% once we get there. Right, well, we've got less than a mile to go to Benay car park, and we're still at 53% charge. So it's looking like we might, if we do get into Benay car park with 52%, it'll be only just 52%. This is a pretty good accurate prediction. Now I'm going to have to say this is about as far as I want to drive for a day trip in from my house. Typically, if I want to drive any further, I will fully be expecting to recharge somewhere, but on this basis, I think I will be able to return back to my home on the same battery charge that as I left. Right, yeah, it's just got to 52% now, so yeah, it was slightly optimistic, but not too much. I mean, a lot of that is just down to driving style. I was sticking to 60 mile an hour speeds on the on the roads. There was one short stretch of 70 mile an hour dual carriageway.
Your destination will be on the right.
Looking like quite a busy car park. No, we're back up to 53%, so we're just hovering around. So, right, here we go.
Now your destination is on the right.
Here we go. Right, I'll just park up right here. And there we are, 53% charge. Not bad. Oh, no, 52% now. That's just the way it is. Right, so I'll get my hiking boots on and we'll go for a walk. So this is very typical of what hill walkers drive to. There's no car charger in this car park, and I would dare to venture that the vast majority of car parks that hill walkers go to won't have a car charger. So it stands to reason that you want to have a car which can get out into the mountains and then back again, ideally on one charge. And this is the whole point of the experiment, is to see whether these kind of journeys are actually possible and whether I've got any issues that come up with. So now I'm doing a walk. As you can see, it's a pretty grey day. So what I'm going to be doing is walking up into Corrie in Benay, on the mountain of Benay. My original plan was to climb both of the Munros on that mountain. I think one of them's Ruat Stack Moor. I can't remember what the other one's called. And but with the weather as it is, it's not particularly heavy rain, but it's not particularly pleasant either. And there is a a moderate wind down here. So this isn't a film about my walk into the mountains. It's more a film about the journey to the mountains and then back again. Now, I've got no phone reception, so I'll show you screenshots in retrospect. So one of the things about the Zappi Charger, which I didn't cover in my previous video, was that as well as taking surplus power during the daytime for solar power, you can also have 7 kilowatts of fast charging in the same mode. And you can do it in several ways, one of which is to give it an instant boost up to a certain amount of charge delivered. The other way is to schedule it. And the app gives you options to schedule things on a quarter-hour resolution for each day, and you can have a different schedule for each day. And what I did to charge up to 100% today was to give my Zappi Charger permission to provide a boost between the hours of 4:30 in the morning and 6 o'clock. And that worked brilliantly. I woke up, the first thing I did was check my Tesla app, and it was 99% charge. And that's fantastic. The thing about scheduling charge is that it enables you to take advantage of cheap electricity, which you may have at a different time of the day. Most commonly, that happens at night time. So, but one of the things you can see on the MyEnergi app is that the price I was paying at night time was still very expensive. It was 31 pence per kilowatt hour. I'm going to be talking about that in a lot more detail in my next video. It's very topical conversation, the price of electricity right now. But most of the time, most of the charge so far has been with sunshine from my solar panels. That's what I wanted. So I'm now going round the north side of Benet to Corrie-Laire, and the weather has lifted a little bit, which is good. But anyway, about electric cars. So the question is, will car parks like Benet car park ever get a car charger? And the thought I had right at the beginning of this walk was, it will never happen. There isn't the funding for it. But the thing is that, let's say 10 years is quite a long time, and there is a lot of incentives for car charging to go in many places. And bear in mind, Benet car park is very likely going to be owned by the National Trust, and the National Trust for Scotland is likely to want to make an example of things. Now, there's no electrical cables there, but one of the things I could easily imagine at that car park is the whole car park is covered underneath a solar canopy, and I could also imagine maybe a small micro 10 kilowatt wind turbine is installed on site, and that would give enough slow charging for maybe 3 or 4 cars in total. And why not? These things are possible in remote locations that aren't connected to the grid. The point is that as a hill walker, my consideration is not whether there are any chargers in a particular location at your destination. The point is to consider the car that you choose to buy. I always have thought to myself, you need a big range. And there are plenty of people who say you can get by with a small range. But there are instances like today where a big range makes all the difference between something which is convenient to do and something which is a bit of a pain in the neck. If I was to do that journey in, say, for example, the Volkswagen e-up, which has got 160 miles range, so you know it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. I'd have to drive to Inverness. I'd have to find a car charger, 50 kilowatt car charger, spend an hour charging up there, drive to Benay car park, drive back to Inverness. I then need to charge up one more time and spend an extra hour. So a round trip of 5 hours suddenly becomes a round trip of 7 hours, and you've got the big hassle of finding an available charger. The other thing you've got to consider is that you have to charge up your car on somebody else's terms in terms of the price of electricity you pay for. Whereas when you've got a long range car, you can charge up on your own terms at home using solar power, and you can essentially drive for free. And that's what I'm hoping to demonstrate with this walking trip which I'm doing today. So now I've reached Corrymick Fiacla. I was calling it Corrylair for some reason, I can't remember why, but the clouds briefly rose up and now they come back down again. So the wind's quite fresh, and I'm just wondering whether I want to carry on or not. So in the meantime, I'm just going to have some lunch and just see how the weather evolves from here. Well, we're now on the summit of Ruad Stack Moor on Benay, and as you can see, it's an amazing view today. On to the next Munro. So here's the second summit, Spidian Corn and Clack. Again, lovely day, amazing views. So, nearly back at the car park, and it will be time to go home. So, it's been a very wet walk, and now the winds have freshened up quite a lot. Touching gale force winds on the top, but it's fresh to strong down here now. So I'm hoping that will result in a bit of a tailwind for driving my car home. And I'll talk more about that later. Here we are, car sweet car. Let's get in here and let's get changed. Ah, lovely. Don't need to press any buttons on keys or anything like that, it's great. Now that I'm back here, one of the things to say is that the battery hasn't depleted at all whilst I've been out hill walking. It's still showing 53% here, and that's good. So now we're going to drive home, and I'm going to redirect this camera so you can actually look out the window at the front. My dash cam, the 12 volt power supply is broken, unfortunately. So I'm going to get a USB-C cable to replace that. So instead, I'll just be using my gimbal camera for the views of the driving. Right, let's get going. Okay, right, here we go. So let's have a look at the windscreen wipers. They are in auto, which is a bit crazy. Okay, so interesting feature to note. The navigation does not look up anything on a database if there's no internet connection. So at the moment we're out of range, which is not good. I wanted to navigate home, and have a look, see what the predicted state of charge would be. So I have to find a place where there is actual phone reception before the GPS will actually be able to look things up. As you can see, the map that works just fine, but the lookup of place names doesn't, and the voice commands don't work either when you're offline. So that's disappointing in that regard, but unsurprising. But hopefully we will be back in range of 4G before too long. I'll have a look in Kinlochhuey. So, a couple of things. If the performance of the battery is anything to go by on the way out, then we should have 6% state of charge on the way back. However, there's a couple of things going in our favour. One of which is that we've got the winds on our back this time round, which is very handy. The other thing going in our favour is that the air temperature is a bit higher. So on the way out, the temperature was about 10 degrees. Now the temperature is at 16 degrees. However, going against us is the fact that the roads are a bit wet. I think that's just in the local area here. I've been in the rain all the time, but I reckon once I get to Achnasheen, I reckon the weather will be dry, and we're only 16 miles away from Achnasheen now. So we've just gone over the summit between Kinlochhuey and Achnasheen. We are now at 47% battery. The rest of the journey is downhill all the way to Contin, and with a wind on my back, I should be it should be pretty favourable battery consumption conditions. Indeed, my battery's just gone up to 48% now. I still can't navigate home, and I still can't see what my predicted end of journey battery is. There's a connection error. I think it needs 4G, and at the moment it's just got Edge Mobile, which is insufficient. Okay, so finally I've got reception, and the navigation home was recommending charging up at Inverness Supercharger, so I could get a 23% charge by the time I get home. I'm going to charge up at Keith instead, and it's Murray Council, and they have free chargers. They're not superchargers, but I reckon by the time I've finished my fish and chips that I will have sufficient charge to get home. But I will be monitoring the consumption on the way back anyway, and I'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to be heading to Keith. It's predicting 16% battery remaining at Keith. Now, when I got to Keith earlier today, it was at 91%. So I could continue on from Keith in theory, and I would have 7% left of battery when I get back home. As you can see, the roads are now dry. We've just passed Contin, and we are on our way to Maryborough, and then Tor Roundabout, and then Inverness. So we are now approaching the Keswick Bridge, and we have got 34% charge. Now, as I mentioned before, when we got to the Keswick Bridge last time, we had 72% charge. So that basically means we used 28% of the battery up. So that basically means if we had 28% here and I drove home, I would have a flat battery by the time I got home, which isn't desirable.
Enter the roundabout and take the second exit.
So having a flat battery isn't desirable. If you look at the Tesla manual, it says if you run the battery flat, then you can risk damaging the battery. It does degrade the life quite severely, from what I understand. So I could run it down to 5%. I'd be happy to do that. But the overall piece of wisdom is that if you can recharge, you should. And that's what we're going to do in Keith on the way back, but I'm not going to be wasting any time on the matter. So now that I don't have the supercharger being recommended, I'm on the A96 now, and I've put navigation direction in for home, and it's suggesting that we're going to have 8% charge by the time we get home. So that's pretty good, and I'll still charge up at Keith anyway, just simply because it's good practice to do so. Okay, we're coming up to Keith, and at Keith we've got various chargers. There is one at a Shell garage, and that costs, last time it was over 40 pence per kilowatt hour, and it's a 50 kilowatt charger. I'm not going to use that one. There's another 50 kilowatt charger which is free, and this is the Charge Place Scotland charger, and it's Moray Council.
To stay on Hots Road.
And that is in the eastern side of Keith, but the fish and chip shop's on the western side. So I'm going to get my fish and chips first, and then go to the charger to plug in and have my fish and chips whilst I'm charging up. So we are at 16% charge, and that is bang on the predicted estimate, and it's now got a yellow warning. So yes, oh, it's a Golf garage, not a Shell garage. It's right there, InstaVolt. Okay, and we will be having the fish and chips on the right. Where is it? Strathila. That's the one. Okie dokie. So I've now got the fish and chips, so we will get to the charger in Keith.
Right onto Moss Street.
There it is. So we turn left here. It doesn't look good. The charger is red, so we'll just take a look there. Right, let's have a look. So the app was showing that this thing was unavailable, so we will use the DC combo, this one here, and just see what happens. Well, bad news, the charger doesn't work. So I've got two options. I can either go home, or I can try my luck in Huntly, and they have got some 50 kilowatt chargers there. However, I'm minded to just go home. I know I used 9% charge to get here on the way out. I reckon it will be 9% to get there on the way home. So at the moment we've got 15% charge, so I'm reckoning we will be getting home at 6% charge. So let's do this. So we are now on the Huntly bypass, and we have got 12% charge. So we've lost 3% since Keith. It's predicted 8% to get back home, but we've got one big hill climb to do, and that is the Glens of Fowdland. That's nearly 300 meters up, and most of the charge will be used on that hill climb. Once we get over it, there's probably about 2% charge to be depleted once we get onto the summit. So yeah, we're at 12% charge now, and it will be interesting to see what charge we get. What charge we get at the top of the Glens of Highlands. So we're now approaching the summit of the Glens of Highlands. We're at 10% charge now. I reckon we'll be at 9% by the time we get up this short distance of hill. And then once we get up to the top, then it will just be 2% that I lose between the summit and my house. And that's based on last week's experience. Now, one thing to note about these headlights is that these are known as matrix headlights. These are LED matrix headlights. They're new for the Model 3 in the year 2021, and they have the same functionality as the Volkswagen ID3 potentially, but it's not implemented. We've got automatic dimming as far as the full beam is concerned, and this morning it seemed to do a pretty good job of it most of the time, but I'd say there was one occasion where it didn't do such a good job in terms of dazzling somebody. So next stop is in 10 minutes time, and that is my house. We are very nearly home, and we are at 8% charge, and I find that to be remarkable, how I can dial in my house's address in Inverness and it predicts an 8% charge. And for me, it really does eliminate a lot of range anxiety when the actual predicted battery level that you will have when you arrive at your destination is what it actually is. And we are coming up to my turn off now. We've got some downhills to do, and we've got some slowing down to do, and that all provides regenerative braking, and that will help preserve the battery even more. And here we are, so coming up to the 50, so we just dial down to 50 miles an hour. Lots of regenerative braking there. And this, to me, this is the beauty of electric car driving. You're not wasting energy when you're slowing down. It's quite remarkable. So I am going to just pull up, and then we will get this thing charged up. Okie dokie, home sweet home. You can see the matrix lights in quite strong effect here. Turning circle is not as tight as my Golf. The Golf has got about 10.6 meters of turning circle. This is about 11.8 meters. If you want a big car with a tight turning circle, apparently the Volkswagen ID4 is perfect. Right, here we are. Right, let's get this thing charged up and unloaded. So, home sweet home. The car recommends I charge this immediately to avoid battery damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the boost function on here to provide me with about 5 kilowatts of extra charge. So let's just get this plugged in. So at the moment the charger is waiting for surplus power. What I'm going to do is go into MyEnergi, and we will go onto the charger, and we're going to just do a boost now function. So we're just going to give we'll give 5 kilowatts hours of charge, and here we go. Now that is charging up. So that journey was just under 270 miles of driving. Consider this: In a diesel car, I would have probably spent about £35 worth of diesel to complete that journey. In this car, that cost just 80 pence worth of imported electricity needed to top up my battery before I started the journey. And whilst I was away from my house, I was exporting electricity. So in a very real manner of speaking, I was almost getting paid to do that journey. That is a remarkable change of thinking about how we view transportation. It's cheaper than my student days when I had a seat on a bus taking me to the Lake District or North Wales from my university. And it's going to be the way people drive in the future. Electric cars are here to stay. And I'm going to have more to talk about with electric cars in the future. My next video is going to be all about the solar panel performance I've had in September, and I will also be talking about the very topical issues related to the cost of electricity right now and where I think it's going to be going in the future. So in the meantime, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I am going to talk to you very soon.